All right, everybody, thanks for joining. I'm going to give you some time here to commence. See people filing in. You're at another special RMD webinar today. Part 2 in our RMD trilogy. Going to be a good one. This one is don't let RMDs hold back client wealth. All right, I'm going to jump right in, guys. So if you don't know, my name is Glenn Setchfield. I'm the VP of Marketing at DMI. Also, if you don't know DMI, we're an IMO just south of Boston, and we wholesale life and annuity products, but we also offer our award-winning marketing services to financial professionals, and our back office and sales support are second to none. One of the best things about DMI is that we like to give white glove service to all our agents, and at the same time, we're big enough to have the attention of all the major carriers and really weigh in. So, and speaking of major carriers, today we have a theme and a nexus in the house. Well, actually, today mainly just the theme, right. So, Mitch Anderson of Athene fame, he's going to be walking us through today the state of the market, what's driving clients to financial professionals who have access to RMD solutions like Athene's BCA, and more specifically, the family endowment rider. Interesting fact. Well, you know what? Let's skip that. So, DMI is just happy to be a strategic partner with both of these companies, and we've got access to all their amazing products. We've got Maureen Walker here as well. She's DMI's content strategist, but today she's going to be monitoring your questions and polls. I want to remind everyone to use the Q&A function to ask questions and participate in any of the polls or quizzes that come up. Most importantly, there's a short survey when the webinar ends, and we'd really appreciate your feedback on that. It'll help us tailor the future events that we do, and we really want to tailor them to your needs. So last but certainly not least, let me introduce Eric Lindewall. He's our Vice President of Annuities here at DMI. And Eric's an industry veteran with 30 years of experience. He's worked with financial advisors in all major distribution channels. And before beginning his wholesaling career, Eric was a financial advisor and sales manager. So he does know a thing or two about the biz. And Eric, we really appreciate you being here. I know you've got a few things you'd like to say about today's topic. So
absolutely, Glenn. And thank you. And thank you everyone for joining. Our topic today is one that I think is vitally important when you look at the demographics of the industry, of the clients that you all work with. As they transition towards retirement, they're going to have to make some pretty impactful and unique choices with respect to what they do with their qualified money. You know, I talk to advisors all over the country, and oftentimes when we're talking about solutions for qualified money, I'll hear the following. My clients have plenty of assets and plenty of income in retirement. So with respect to their qualified money, they're probably just going to take RMDs. So the idea of using a guaranteed lifetime income rider for these folks initially isn't on the minds of their advisors because they don't need max income. And that's where I think we could be making a mistake. And what I mean by that is instead of just taking RMDs from the entirety of a portfolio, what if we could craft a strategy to handle RMDs utilizing a lifetime income rider? And what would that mean not only for the client, but for you, the advisor? So our esteemed colleague and friend, Mitch Anderson from Athene, is going to walk us through a concept, an idea that will show you all how you can, to some extent, automate the RMD distribution strategy for your clients, provide an amazing amount of protection. And most importantly, that protection is not just for your client, it's for your business and your revenue. So we're going to talk about this concept today. It's unique, it's interesting, it's scalable, and it's something we can help you with. So, with that, I want to turn it back to either Glenn or Mitch. We're going to be available at the end for questions. And again, we appreciate you joining us today. And we're looking forward to working with each and every one of you on a go-forward basis.
I'll let Mitch run with it. Go
Well,
for it.
beautiful. Well, thank you guys. And I appreciate the time and the opportunity to talk to your advisors. And this is number 2 of a 3-part trilogy focused on RMDs. And we're really excited to talk today about not only protecting your client, but protecting you, the advisor. And if you've been in the AUM business long enough and you've been in this industry long enough, you can recall when we've had a major market correction, what happens to your income? It goes down, right? And if we have a major correction and you're actually in the process of drawdown, it can really hurt a portfolio with sequence of returns, and you can basically cannibalize an account for a client in a drawdown situation when we're down 30-40%. And that's something that we're going to try and talk about today. But we did the last webinar that we did, we focused in on our Nexus product, the BCA, which Glenn had mentioned, and that has a great death benefit or family legacy rider that grows at 5%, and that's awesome for people that are looking to pass some assets to the next generation. But today I'm going to talk about another RMD solution, which we're basically going to try and protect not only the client, but we're going to protect your future growth income. And so thanks to our partnership with DMI, we're here to help you guys grow together in 2024. And if you're not familiar with DMI's university that they have on their website, they've got a number of topics that can help you grow your business and ideas that you can incorporate into your business. So as we get going here, let's think about the great wealth transfer. There's 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 each day. And so that transfer has begun, and those assets continue to grow. It used to be, they thought, around a $72 trillion opportunity. But according to JP Morgan, it's a $129 trillion opportunity, of which the majority of those assets are qualified assets. That's huge, guys. That really is huge. So my question to you, and if you saw the last webinar, I asked the same question, is what percentage of qualified distributions are RMD only? And I was really shocked when I saw this. Right now, 84% of retirees who reached the RMD age were limiting their retirement account to withdrawal minimums that are required. And that's according to JP Morgan, and it was back in March of this year. And I was kind of taken back by that, but it just shows that they're trying to save money for the kids or whatever it is. They only want to take that RMD and only want to tap more if they need it. Okay. So first thing is, why is that good for you? Well, obviously it's good for you because why? It allows the AUM to continue to grow. More AUM means what? More fee income for you guys. So as those accounts continue to grow, so does your income, and you can actually get your client to stay invested longer. You might be able to be more aggressive and grow that even at a more rapid pace. So what are the rules of the road, guys? As simple as this. Rule number 1 is we got to act in the best interest of the client and protect your client's portfolio. Rule number 2 is to try and find a strategy for your clients to help minimize market corrections and sequence of return risk. And this really is more important in the drawdown situation than people realize. But for you, the big question of the day is this. Should you be protecting your trail income also? Is there a way to do both? Is there a way to act in the best interest of the client, but also to protect myself and my fee income, which I need in for my retirement and down the road? So let's take a step back. Let's think about what are the threats to your trail income or your fee income. And the first one is very obvious. A major market correction can be really a big impact. If we have a drop of 30 to 40% in the markets, your income can drop 30 to 40%. The second is client withdrawals, whether it be for income needs, if they require some income, if they need RMDs, they start pulling money out, that's a threat to your trail income. And at first, in small amounts, it's not a big deal. But when you start looking at the possibility of being subject to sequence of return risk, that could possibly cannibalize your book of business in a very, very short period of time. And with most advisors have a range of their clients, meaning that they have a large amount of clients that are between the ages of 60 and 73, or and are going through that point where they're starting to take distributions. So it becomes more and more important to try and protect. The last is death. So let's talk about what we know when it comes to qualified money in our IRAs. The bottom line is we are required to start taking distributions at age 72, which is about 3.65% of the aggregate value of your IRA accounts. To satisfy that RMD, we can use distributions from all traditional IRAs, or we can actually just take it from one particular account. And that's really the key to today's presentation. The bottom line is that RMDs are required each year, regardless of what the market environment is. And so when we take the money out, sometimes we're forced to take the money out. And if the market's down at that point, then it could be a significant hit to your client's account. So AUM facts. For you guys that are selling AUM, you probably already know that. The average advisor has about 75% of their client funds in qualified dollars. So that's a huge percentage of the money that you manage in your overall client portfolios. That means 75% of the AUM you have is going to be subject to RMDs, and they're going to have to start taking distributions on those accounts over a period of time. And so my question is, could drawdown during market correction cannibalize your AUM? And I really think it could. And if you can recall some of the corrections we've had, if you've been in this industry for a period of time, you can see how quickly they can drop. And for you newer advisors that have only been in the industry for the last 10 years or so, you just have to remember that sequence of return risk can be a real threat, not only to your client's account, but to your continual fee-based income. So the real question today is, would you be interested in an efficient RMD strategy to provide your client with a guaranteed income floor that also reduces their sequence of return risk and protects your AUM at the same time? And the first thing you're going to say to me is, Mitch, my clients have said to me they don't need income, right? They're only going to take the required minimum distribution. They have enough income. And you may be correct. But let's look at it from a different perspective. And what I'm going to propose to you may be a little surprise, but I'm going to propose to you, take a look at an FIA with an income rider. And why that? Well, two reasons. Number one, we haven't had these high of an interest rates since when? You got to go back to 2008 when we had rates this strong. And so right now we've got a strong interest rate environment that may not stick around. But by buying an FIA with an income rider, it's going to solve a few challenges. And here's one. Believe it or not, an FIA is a better bond alternative. You have the opportunity to act like a bond, but higher returns, but you also have the floor. Remember, if the market goes down, you lose nothing in an FIA, and you get to reset those indices at a lower value. And the entire time, you still get the trail. So if the market goes down in an FIA, your account value doesn't drop, your trail remains the same. It does not drop either. Number two, by moving a portion, I'm not trying to take all your money out of the AUM, but move a portion over to an FIA, you've actually protected the principal from any type of market correction for your client. And the FIA with a guaranteed income rider will give you that guaranteed income floor for the client. And that is not going to be subject to sequence of return risk. That is the key. The key is you're buying it for that market protection. It's going to grow. The benefit base is going to grow. And then when you trigger income at your RMD age of 72, we're going to provide you with a guaranteed income floor. And because of the current interest rate environment, you guys may be very surprised at what the payout factors are going to be. Currently, the payout factor at age 72 is 8.35%, which is significantly higher than the RMD, which is what, 3.65% at age 72. So the lifetime guaranteed distribution that you're receiving, that 8.35%, can actually not only satisfy the RMD for the annuity, but you have excess that you can now satisfy for your AUM account, so that you don't have to tap as much money into the AUM account in a down market. So that's the pretty cool. And I'm going to show you a couple scenarios here, but let's take a case design here. A 65-year-old person, $500,000 of qualified funds under management. And what are their goals? They have no current income need. They don't think they're going to need it in retirement. They're hoping to only have to take RMDs. They're looking for growth in their portfolio, which is important. They still want to continue to grow their assets. They are concerned about market volatility. And if you're not concerned, I mean, you've got to live in a box. I mean, sometimes success lets people forget about the fact that we are invested in equities, and that if a market correction happens, that you could have a significant drop. So they may be concerned about market volatility, but think about this. Does this sound familiar? I would bet that you have a number of clients that are starting to have those types of conversations with you. When they hit that 65 age, they start talking about whether they need income, don't need it. They're still looking for growth, but they're really concerned about, what if the market corrects and things of that nature. So the solution to me is you could take a look at our Ascent Pro 10 bonus contract. It's a lifetime income annuity solution. It's an FIA with an income rider. I would take out of the $500,000. Let's just take a portion. Let's take 200,000. We're going to move it into the Ascent 10 Pro bonus. It's an FIA contract that's going to provide lifetime income, market leading crediting rates. And zero is your hero. Guys, again, you can't lose your principal in an FIA, regardless of what the market's doing. And the best of all, it allows you to keep your other portion, that other 300,000, invested in AUM, and you can become a little bit more aggressive for the long term, so you can grow that at a more rapid rate. So here's the situation. We're going to take that $500,000. We're going to split it 300,000 in AUM, 200,000 in an FIA with the income rider. But these numbers are not perfect, guys. You and your client can choose the dollar amount that you want to protect against a market correction. Okay. If you take your 300,000 in AUM, it's going to continue to grow for the next 7 years. Assets are going to be subject to market corrections and conditions, and you could do very well, or you could do very poor, depending upon what the market does. I'm going to assume a very conservative rate of 5%. So that's going to grow to 422,000 value at age 72. Now, again, those are my assumptions. You may say, hey, I want to pick 6. I may want to pick 7% return. You can play with this any way you want with it, and you can figure out how much money you have to move into an FIA versus the AUM to make it work for you. The bottom line is that at 72, the required minimum distribution on that AUM is $15,400. When we look at that $200,000 FIA, your principal is now protected against market loss. Your benefit base for the income rider grows at 10% per year. Your guaranteed benefit base is $360,000 at age 72. The payout is 8.35%. And the one thing people forget is the account value will continue to grow over the next 7 years too. But guaranteed, the income stream at age 72 from this annuity is $30,060. So that's really important. So let's take a look at the worst case, because if I show you the worst case and you can live with that, then you're going to be happy when it comes to reality. And when you look at a worst case 0% return, you put in your 200,000, it grows at 10% per year. The income value, the income base is 360,000 times 8.35%, and you are going to get $30,060 guaranteed income no matter what. So at 0%, we provide the $30,060 of guaranteed lifetime income. The RMD from the AUM is 15.4. The RMD of the $200,000 FIA is now only $6,500. You combine that, you got about 21, 22,000. You significantly have more income from the lifetime income rider than what you need. And you actually have excess of income in this particular situation. And it gives you a little bit of play here. Now that's on a 0% return, guys. And the reality of that happening is it just is not going to happen. But I want to show you the 0% just so you get an understanding of what we're trying to do. Those guarantees are great for the client because you protected the asset. And by the way, you've been getting a trail every year based off the account value of that particular asset. But what about you? Really, this whole webinar is designed around protecting AUM and protecting your fee income. And for this to work, really what it comes down to is index performance is really the key to your trail income. That's important to understand. So when you pick a partner, an annuity company, you want to make sure you're picking a company that really does have great performance. And you happen to be very lucky that you're dealing with DMI and Athene. There are very few partners that actually have a contract with us out there in the marketplace. But if you want to pick a company that has index performance, you can take a look at some of our indices and how they did last year. And the returns that you're seeing, those are the raw index returns. Those are not applying the participation rates, which are significantly higher than the returns on an annual basis. Take a look at some of the rates that we had with these raw indices. I mean, it's been tremendous. We take a lot of pride in picking our indices that are part of our portfolio. Matter of fact, if you go back to 2017, there has been no carrier that has had the success that we have had in choosing our index that are part of our annuity portfolio. We have had anywhere from 2 to 5 of our indexes in the top 10 every year. And I can guarantee you, you're not going to find another carrier anywhere close to that. And what's important is there's 230 different indices available in FIA products there. And we have just done a great, great job of choosing the right indexes to be part of our portfolio. So what that means for you is you can actually get better trails because of the performance within our FIA product. So if this thing performs as we expect it to perform, and we actually give you a sample diversified target blend of indices to use to give you consistent performance. If you look at the most recent 10 years, it's going to actually increase your guaranteed income to $33,899. Now that's great, and that's what you want. That's what you're looking for. But when you start looking at the RMDs, the RMD for the AUM is still the same at 15.4, but because of the growth internally in the FIA contract, actually your new RMD of that $200,000 FIA is actually $14,817. Combined, it's still less than $30,000, and your product is actually providing you with almost $34,000 of guaranteed lifetime income. What's even better, by using that diversified target blend, if it performs as it has, you could take a look at the accumulated value line. Your fee income is based off the accumulated value that you see there. And in the end of 7 years, the accumulated value is up to $405,000. So that's nice. You get your 1% trail on that. It's a great way to grow your fee-based income. So what are the benefits in summary? Well, to the client, it's quite simple. You can add a flooring strategy to the retirement plan and protect those assets from market volatility. You reduce sequence of return risk for their RMD distributions. And lastly, the RMD for the annuity will cover, and the RMD for the AUM will be covered by the guaranteed lifetime income. And again, depending upon how much you choose to put into this guaranteed area in the FIA, it may cover all of the AUM requirement. It may cover a portion. You and the client get to choose that where you want to be in the spectrum. For you, it's quite simple. For the advisor, you're going to keep more of your client's assets under your management. You're going to protect and replicate your AUM income with trail commissions in an FIA, and it's going to continue to grow. And lastly, you have an opportunity to introduce an innovative concept into your practice. And I'm sure you've got a lot of clients that are hitting this age, and you're starting to have these discussions. And I can't say anything more about our partnership with DMI. Make sure you get with your DMI partner. You've chosen one of our best partners to help you climb any mountain and look at these opportunities. And they can certainly help you make sure that they can protect your AUM business by adding fixed index annuities into your portfolio. We don't want to take over all your AUM. We just want a little portion of that so that you can feel comfortable about protecting your fee income for the future. With that, I'm going to turn it back to Eric and to Glenn, and you can take over from there.
You know, actually, we've got a question. I was going to hand it off to Maureen to pose that question to the group, or to Mitch, actually.
So, Mitch, we did have a question that popped up. It asks, do you craft specific RMD strat? Oop, nope, that's not it. It says, I'm confused on the cap rates that were over 100%. If the cap rate was 205% and the index return 10%, the client gets 20.5%.
Yeah, so anytime you take a participation rate, you will multiply it by the pure index return. So if I had a 5% return and I had a 200% participation rate, 200% of 5 is what? 10. Interest credited to the client would be a 10% return. And again, those par rates are different based upon the product that you're in, whether it's an accumulation product or an income product. And that particular slide, I don't know what the par rates are on that particular slide, just because that was just a generic slide that we've used in other presentations before. But I will tell you that we have a number of our indices that have over 100% participation that are applied to those index credits that you see.
I see. And then we do have one more question. And I think, Eric, you might be the person to answer this. They're asking, is it possible to leverage the annuity and also life insurance to help solve for RMDs?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Maureen. So the answer is yes. And actually, we are going to, in 2 weeks, run another program where we discuss just that. So the answer is yes. And the good news at DMI, not only are we very active and have a robust annuity sales department, but our life insurance department is very tenured in the industry, all brilliant minds that have been at it a long time, and we work together. So when you choose to work with DMI, you're getting expertise not only on the annuity side of the house, but on the life insurance side of the house. We'd be happy to help with that.
Excellent. I'd like to open it up for any other questions from the field. Feel free to type it in the Q&A, please.
Well, and in the meantime, Eric, what are your thoughts on today's presentation?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that this is a concept that we all need to really get our arms around and embrace. And a couple of the really impactful facts that Mitch went over even caught someone like myself, who's been wholesaling for 25 years and in the business for 33, really caught me by surprise. We spend so much time talking about a high level of guaranteed lifetime income and why that's important in retirement. Yet 84% of the folks with qualified assets are going to just take RMDs, right? That really surprised me. But this concept really drives home the point that, hey, let's not just calculate RMD on every account and march happily along. We can really be tactical on a client-by-client basis and put together a plan that works for the client and, more importantly, works for you, or almost as important, works for you as the advisor. One point I wanted to make, when one of the final slides that Mitch had up, which I thought was awesome, where it laid out what the RMD was for the AUM account and what the RMD would be for the annuity. I've talked about this concept quite often with advisors, and they say, well, Eric, that's great. That lifetime income payment is going to cover the RMD now, but what happens at some point down the road when the RMD on the entirety of the portfolio is more than what the annuity is providing? And so I guess the question is this: what would have to happen for that to be the case? And what would have to happen is the AUM account balance would have to grow dramatically and require a bigger payout. So if that happens, then you're just taking a little piece out of the AUM account. And is that a bad thing? If using an annuity freed you up from a creative and investment management standpoint to be able to more effectively grow the AUM account, didn't we do your client a service? Of course we did, right? So the market can only do two things. It can go up or it can go down. And this solution works in either scenario.
That's great, Eric. And if you don't mind, I'll interject a little bit something. I mean, there may be some of you out there that may not have a lot of experience with RMD strategies, but I can tell you, and I'm sure everyone that manages AUM or has clients can tell you that things come up in life and there are surprises that happen in life. 84% of these clients say that they only want to take RMDs, but sometimes reality hits in where they need additional income. And so what this does is it actually protects you even more, because at least you know you've got this guaranteed floor of income that is coming. And then if they need additional income, well, then you can go to the well if you have to go to the well. And so it's really important to understand that clients think that certain things, but when they get there, their minds may change. We all know what happens. The roof goes, the grandkids get married, whatever it may be. But at least you're protecting a portion of the overall portfolio and protecting your fee-based income for the overall portfolio. You've got some excess dollars that you can guarantee for your client.
Mitch, we really appreciate you being here. It's always a pleasure to have you. Same thing with Eric, Maureen, you too. Not going to leave you out either. But hey, I don't think we have any other questions, Maureen. I see one in the Q&A. Is that not right? Is it? We're good? Okay. All right. So that concludes everything here today, guys. But please, as Eric mentioned, May 15th, we have our Power RMD Solutions webinar, leveraging annuity and life together. So that'll round out that three-part trilogy on RMD solutions. So excited about that one. I've also shared with you contact information for Eric Lindewall, 781-919-2351. Scan the QR code if you want to have his contact information in your phone. Eric is very, very happy to speak with you. He is available. I know he's very commanding on screen, that kind of thing. Believe me, he's not unapproachable. He's easy to approach. Give him a call, shoot him an email. I'd love to speak with you. And look at DMI University for those resources that Mitch was so kind to talk about. So we've got years of content up on that portal, covering all kinds of topics that'll help you guys in the street. So anyway, we really appreciate y'all being here and look forward to future engagement. And thank you for your engagement today. But we will see you on May 15th for the Power of RMD Solutions. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. And happy Wednesday.